Hey, Coach. Wanted to answer your other questions you had in your email. Video was probably the easiest way to get this done rather than typing out something, so hope this works for you. Your first question had to deal with you have a post player or you have a player who's kind of a versatile post, and what are maybe some quick hitters or some actions that you can run. I can give you some things that I have used in the past when I've had this type of player. It's been a kind of a focal point of what we've been doing, and you can see what works for you here. First, you want to run the 4 out, 1 in is what you were saying in your email. And I didn't know if the player was going to be your post all the time or somebody ran off the post, but we'll make this particular player the 5. A lot of the stuff that we run is pretty simple stuff. It's nothing real complicated. I find that that works best for the players. But one thing that we do is we call it weak, and what we're going to do is on this pass over to the 4, we're going to go over and we're going to set a ball screen. We call it weak because the ball ends up on this side and we're going to screen the weak side post player. We're just coming over the top, screening right there. The 4's responsibility is to get an angle, get something to be able to pass that ball in. But we find that we get the ball inside quite often on a play like this. It gives us just enough room as long as your 4 is a decent passer. We do run it with the other side, and we just call it strong. Find that it's a little bit harder. So if the 1 has the ball here and we call strong, it'd just be a screen down and we curl over the top right there. It can be a little bit harder to get the ball to that player just because the teams can adjust a little bit easier. It's all packed in on one side. But we have run both of those successfully. Now, if they're looking to score on it all the time, know that teams will be ready for it. If they're looking just to get the ball inside and then maybe have the player distribute the ball to the outside, this works pretty well to get your shooters open, especially on the strong side. All right, another action that we use if we're going out of let's see, 4, 1, 2, get my player set up here. We would also run some duck-ins. Now, a great way to run duck-ins rather than just having, we'll start the ball here at the 1 again, just having this player try to time up a pass is we want some movement. So we'll run our 3 out of there. And that 3 is going to run as soon as we pass it to the 4. We're going to go right back to the 1, and that's a cue for our 3 to leave. And what we're going to do at that point is once the 3 leaves, we're going to come and we're going to duck in behind that defender right there. And it might be an extra pass over to the 2, or it could come from the 1, but we're going to try to get the ball inside on a duck in right there. What it does by having your 3 go to the corner and throwing it from the side, you've eliminated all help side. The only person who would help is your 4, and they're so far away that it's really created a one-on-one situation there. So a lot of times when you're posting, you're worried about a double team or what's going to happen. Are they going to be able to get the shot off? Are they going to be able to make their move? Well, you've eliminated the help side because you've got your 3 in the corner here, 2's got the ball here, 1 is here. So you've really overloaded a side, and then you're trying to make that pass in. That's why I say it might come from your 1, it might come from your 2. It just kind of depends. Who's a better passer, what the angle is, that kind of thing. So that's another one that we've done to help eliminate the help side. Now, out of a zone, this is extremely simple, but it's worked really well. So we've kept it. Worked at the college level, worked at the high school level. But if we go in any kind of 1-4 high set, so rather than having my 4 stay up top, I'll be here. And when we throw the ball to, let's see, we want to give it to, first off, we'll throw it to our post. So we get our post player right here. All this player is going to do is dive in there and is going to post up. We get the post player where we want them, isolated. There isn't any help side in the defense. Now, the other option that I was thinking of there would do the same thing, except for this time we're going to go over to the wing. And when we go over to our wing, we go down and we would screen for the post. So since I passed it to the right, I'll screen for the opposite post. This post player is just going to curl right inside there. If we passed it over to the 3 on this side, we would go and screen for the 5, and the 5 would curl right down in there. The opposite post player is just spacing out. So what do they do afterwards? Since we're obviously trying to get the ball into the post, let's say I had my 5 screen, my 3 has the ball here, my 4, my 1, and my 2 there, is we would just want to space out. Our 4 would come up top, give us lots of space right there. Our 1 could either stay, or depending on where the ball goes, or would also space out, could be into a corner. We just don't want to plug up the middle, or however we space, whether it's out to the 3-point line or out to the side. But that gives us a good angle, especially since this person is usually the one that's going to be drawn out there. This person wants to stay close to the 4 coming out. We've got a pretty good passing angle. It works for us more times than it doesn't. So we've kept it simple. So those are a couple of options for you. Give you one last one. This one's a little bit more, just more of a play than it is an action and trying to get the ball somewhere. But again, this would be out of the 1-4 high set. So 1's got the ball. We're going to set a little shuffle cut screen with our 5. So 2 is going to be coming off of that. As that is set, we're passing the ball over, so the 2 and the pass are going at the same time. And if we can get it there, we'll get it there. We always look at those options. We like to have layups. If not, our 2 is going to end up here. Our 5 is here. Our 1 is going to go set a screen, and we're going to curl off of this screen right down here, and our 2 is just going to go ahead and leave. So what we've done again is we've used a screen-the-screener action, and we've eliminated the help side. So now if our 4 can get it into our 5, then perfect. And let me take our 2 out of there so we can kind of see this. So our 2 ends up in the corner. We've eliminated, there's no help side on the back. All right, so the 1 would be the closest, and the 1's going to pop out here, but they're 1 pass away. So if we can get a pass in there from the 4 going down, then we get that player going downhill. If we need to pass it to the 3, not all bad. Post player gets down there probably a little bit farther off that cut to set the post up, and then we can pass it in. Obviously, you can run cuts off of this. You can run some things on the back side when you get the ball into the post, but those are all pretty simple ways that we've been able to get our post involved in our plays over and over, doing a lot of kind of different or smaller actions, but getting the same result and getting the ball where we wanted it to go. So hopefully that helps you. The second thing that you asked me about, Coach, was what about your middle school program? All right, so I want to show you something here real quick. This is not part of the membership site. This is just what I use for my program. Is I've created a website for my coaches to go to. They used it a lot when I first started, so when I was in your situation, they used this a ton. But basically, I took a lot of the things inside the coaching library, and say our offensive break diagrams, for example. I took those and I put them inside this website, and then they can just click on it. It's taking a little bit to load here, but they can click on the website and they can go to it and they can get, what they need for our offensive break. There's 2 different documents that are in there. So this is just Google Docs that they can click on. There's read and react notes. That's our base offense. We don't run the whole read and react, but we use a principle. So in our middle school program, we use the first 3 principles the most. That's what I ask my middle school coaches to run. I'll meet with my middle school coaches once before their season begins, have them ask me questions. They're really good about wanting to run stuff and do things like the varsity does. So that way it starts in the middle school for us, and then the 9th grade we add a little bit JV, and then they get to the varsity. They've got really the whole foundation of what we're doing, and I get into more in depth into actions and into the smaller details of the game. But we also run the Cougar offense, which is our flex offense, basic out of bounds plays. Now, one thing I will say with middle school coaches is don't try to tell them how to do it. Phrase it as, this is what we're doing at the varsity. We want to build a program, and the earlier we can start building the foundation of our program, the more success we're going to have in the long term. I found that worked really well with my coaches at the middle school level. So if you can frame it in a way where they're jumping on board rather than doing what they're told, then you will find that they'll have a lot more buy-in for you. I do print these off. Sometimes that's easier for them. I've given packets to coaches before. If we have a new middle school coach, I meet with them one-on-one if they'd like to. but we try to have that one group meeting to go over things with each other so they can ask me questions about our offense and defense. And then I say, hey, I don't know how much time you guys have. I don't know how much gym space you have. I can't dictate what you're going to do. I'm just going to say, this is what we do, and I want you to be on board and be a part of it. We also invite our middle school coaches and our players to our practices. We hold a middle school practice day where they come up and they practice with our varsity as a way to try to build on the things that they're doing, and they're seeing how we do them and how fast we do them, and we try to overlap some of those principles maybe they've learned. I didn't do that my first year, but my second, my third year, now going into my fourth, we've kind of got it down. But any of those things that you want to know about, please let me know. Now, tryout forms, practice forms, court diagrams, all that stuff is inside the membership, but I don't have a list of things. You can kind of look here and just see. If you don't have a website that you're going to make, completely understandable, just print them off, put it in a folder. Make 5 or 6 copies of those folders. That way you have them to hand out to coaches. I'm extremely accessible to my youth coaches, my middle school coaches, and my lower level high school coaches, and I try to have stuff available to them whenever they ask for it, or a meeting if they can. Everybody's situation isn't the same, but I found that the more open I am, and I explained to them, this is what we do. We don't want to share it with anybody else, and they've been really good about that because they want our program and our community to do well. So, Coach, I hope this helps you out, gives you a little bit of an idea of what I give my players and what I give my coaches in terms of that 4-out, 1-in set and what we do at the middle school and build the program. So, Coach, let me know if you got any other questions. Hopefully the video wasn't too long. All right, talk to you later.